Chapter 70. In a way, the engagement ceremony was not ruined. Because the strong and healthy Mr. Lancaster suddenly fell ill, and was then taken to the hospital by his filial nephew and future daughter-in-law. The engagement ceremony was postponed peacefully without any trouble. Soon, news came that Mr. Lancaster was fine, but the new bride and groom did not get engaged, but got married so that the old man could fulfill his wish soon. The mothers and daughters of the other families were completely disappointed, while the men were calculating how to give the most expensive and lavish gifts. Mr. Lancaster was the happiest, and asked many fortune tellers to come and check the date, and finally chose an auspicious date the following month. When holding the golden fortune-telling paper, Serafina did not have any special feelings. She just compared it to the solar date and laughed. Hey, it just happened to be the day we first met. Harrison was stunned. In theory, the first time he met her, she was still secretly picking up leftovers. She couldn't have noticed him. She held the calendar close to him. Look, this is the day Grandpa held the Green Earth Charity Gala. I didn't expect it to be a year already. She stared at the calendar, excited. The day we first met in the future is also the day of our wedding anniversary. What a coincidence. Haha. He smiled. She didn't need to know about their previous meetings. Let those unpleasant encounters disappear. He only hoped that in the future, she could always smile happily like a child like now. But Harrison, someone recently, not only talked a lot but was also very difficult to serve. She liked to bully someone the most. She glanced at him. One less anniversary. You also gave me one less gift. You really profited. He put his arm around her waist, pulled her close, and coaxed her. Do you like the anniversary that much? Well, let me think about it for you. Apart from the wedding day and the first meeting, there must be the first time we confessed, the first time we publicly dated, of course. He lowered his head, his lips close to her ear, his voice filled with charm, and the first time we made love. Her ears felt hot from his breath, her heart pounding. He smiled. Is that enough? She buried her head in his chest, and chuckled softly. All the preparations for the wedding were handled by a professional wedding planning company. She didn't need to worry. For the remaining month, she was at home with her grandmother at ease. After she was discharged from the hospital and heard that Olivia could continue treatment, her spirit was lifted a lot and she herself was gentler than before. Perhaps the moment she learned that Serafina had a car accident, the shock was too great. Grandma had completely changed, becoming extremely close to her granddaughter and grandson. This made Theodore very unfamiliar. As soon as he saw her he said, "Grandma, don't smile at me like that, I'm scared." As a result, he naturally couldn't help but get a few kicks from Serafina. During the days at home, in addition to writing new scripts, she occasionally discussed with director Tom Lionel the issues that needed to be fixed during the filming of Butterfly. In the past few months, Butterfly had been filmed halfway through. The male and female leads were the currently very famous on-screen lovers, couple Rowan and Alice. She had full confidence in Alice's acting ability, completely believing that she could portray her previous image. She had also visited the set, just in time to act out the scene before the female lead's identity was changed. During the first year of university military training, a group of classmates sat on the ground singing a march, their bright smiles blooming like flowers on their faces full of youthful vitality. She absent-mindedly recalled, she of that time was indeed as bright. In her heart she could not help but sigh, and felt even more fortunate. Fortunately her life in the future would also be as bright as the sun. That's right, Vivian played the supporting female role. She originally wanted to compete for the female lead role, but Tom thought that her acting ability was not as good as Alice's. On the contrary, he felt that her temperament was very similar to the supporting female role. In this regard, Serafina could only say that director Tom's thoughts were exactly the same as hers. When she saw Serafina in the studio, Vivian was also startled. Because the Ashford family's house and company had already been in the hands of her and her mother, they had moved from the Beaumont family to the Ashford family not long ago. Serafina did not greet her either, but as soon as Vivian saw her, she immediately ran over to explain, her eyes filled with guilt. She said that she had only seen the recording at that time, thinking that it was something very important to Serafina, so she brought it to the engagement ceremony. Serafina indifferently listened to her endless chatter, as if she was too lazy to even hate her. indifferently saying, "From now on, keep a distance between them, the two of them should not meet again." After saying that, she left without paying attention to Vivian's aggrieved gaze. Vivian moved to the Ashford family, she moved to the Lancaster family, from now on they would rarely appear together. As she left, Serafina thought, if she continued writing the script, she would have to add an additional condition: Vivian could not act. The wedding day was getting closer and closer. At this moment, the hospital reported good news: her mother had woken up. Only now did she feel that this wedding was the beginning of true happiness. Today was the wedding, on the wide lawn of the Lancaster family. There were many people. The wedding ceremony was held outdoors. The stage was erected with a European-style plaster column, the top of which had a pure white cloth hanging down. The background was a flower wall made entirely of red roses. On the white crossbars on both sides of the stage hung silver-white curtains, swaying in the wind, refracting the brilliant sunlight, shining brightly. Straight to the stage was a deep red carpet. The carpet was sprinkled with fragrant flower petals. On both sides of the red carpet were more than a dozen rows of white chairs. Each chair had a bright red velvet rose pinned on it. Along the carpet, every 5 steps there was a flower pillar. The scent of roses was fragrant. Between the 2 flower pillars were strung shiny strings, separating the red carpet and the guest area. On another patch of grass were arranged 1,000 white chairs. Each chair was tied with balloons of all colors. In the wind, the balloons began to sway like cute little animals dancing. After waiting for the guests to take their seats, Harrison appeared on stage. He was wearing a white suit, with a dignified demeanor, looking towards the end of the red carpet. On his handsome forehead was an unconcealable anticipation. The Beaumont family's car entered on time through the main road, parking next to the red carpet. The classical orchestra began to play an opening piece specially used for weddings. In the blink of an eye, everyone on the lawn were silent, only the happy music hummed softly. Harrison looked at that place, secretly laughing at himself for this nervousness. The car door opened. The first person to get out was Theodore. Today he was dressed properly and seriously but still did not lose his usual temperament. Calmly exhaled, slightly bent his hand and reached into the car. Very quickly, a hand wearing a white lace glove covered his hand. A second later, under everyone's gaze, the new bride Serafina stepped out of the car wearing a pure white wedding dress. The bride was very beautiful as a princess in a fairy tale, her lips smiling brightly, momentarily overshadowing the sunlight. Louis and Bonnie wearing suits and small wedding dresses slowly followed behind, lifting her dress. Theodore led Serafina slowly onto the red carpet, his palms were wet with sweat. She glanced at him, chuckled, "You're not getting married, what are you nervous about?" All the good feelings in his heart were crushed by her, and he said uncomfortably, "I was worried that you would have a bad temper, not a good wife and daughter-in-law, and would be beaten if you married someone else. Want to get kicked in front of all these people?" She smiled and gritted her teeth. He laughed, "You really have a bad temper." She frowned slightly, "With you as a support, how could my husband's family dare to bully me, right?" He was momentarily stunned, his lips curled into a smile, revealing his teeth as even as corn, and he smiled, "Of course." At the turn to enter the stage, both of them were silent. Harrison stood there quietly on stage, watching his beautiful bride slowly walking towards him with a bouquet of flowers. The golden sunlight shone on his face, dyeing his cheeks a rosy color. The snow-white veil fluttered in the wind, blending with the sunlight to accentuate her small, fair face. She walked towards him, her eyes not avoiding him but looking straight at him, her clear, deep black pupils filled with happiness. His heart was so gentle that it melted into water, seeing her getting closer and closer, leisurely coming to the front of the stage, raising her smooth face to look at him and smile. The sunlight filled her beautiful eyes. Theodore took a deep breath, took his sister's hand and placed it in Harrison's, saying only one sentence, "I leave her to you." Harrison nodded, holding Serafina's small hand tightly, as if holding the whole world. Serafina also felt her heart pounding, but looked away. Miles was standing not far behind him, smiling happily at her. Poor guy, after a year, he finally learned how to smile without scaring people. "Mr. Harrison Lancaster, do you agree to take Miss Serafina Beaumont as your wife, take care of her, protect her, whether poor or rich, sick or healthy, always love each other, never leave or forsake, forever together? I agree. Miss Seraphina Beaumont, do you agree to be Harrison Lancaster's wife, to take care of him, to protect him, to love him for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, to never leave or forsake him, to be together forever? I agree. Please, the bride and groom, exchange rings. Now the groom may kiss the bride. Harrison held Seraphina's waist, hugged her, and leaned down to kiss her on the lips. A kiss that made a husband and wife. Seraphina's life after the wedding did not change much from before. She still went to school and wrote scripts, but she just changed her place of residence. Harrison was busy with work, just like before, and did not have much time to spend with her. Luckily, they both had jobs they loved. Normally they were busy with their own work, and whenever they met, they would be intimate and make up for it twice as much. His parents died early, the rest of the family was not here. The house was so big but there was only his grandfather and a few servants. She did not have to deal with the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law problem. The servants did not dare to bother her. Even his grandfather had to run after her every day to invite her to play with him. When Harrison was at home, he pampered her. When he was away, his grandfather listened to her. At his house, she was truly a queen. Sometimes when there was no class schedule, and no need to run the script, she would stay home to play with his grandfather, watch the American cartoon Woodpecker together. The two of them laughed heartily, then she and he went to the vegetable garden to catch worms. But his grandfather still liked the game of stealing vegetables online the most. She gave him her laptop, memorized the ripening time of the fruits and vegetables in the online farm game, and reminded him 5 minutes in advance every day so he could go steal them. One time, she happened to see a message from the account friend Bella Beaumont in his chat box. Darius Lancaster, if you dare to steal my tomatoes again, I will pretend to be sick to trick Seraphina into coming home for a month. The next dialogue was, the message will be archived, I will take a screenshot and show it to Seraphina. Screenshot? What? Next time, ask Theodore to teach you. She was confused, feeling her integrity was shattered. That night, she told Harrison about this story, laughing to herself for half the time. He was used to his grandfather's silly antics, so this time he was not interested, just focused on unbuttoning her shirt. Today she was wearing a Chinese-style shirt, with a traditional round button clasp, which took a lot of effort to unbutton. Someone who couldn't quickly eat the delicious meat, dissatisfied, you can't wear this kind of clothes anymore. Why can't I wear it? She pouted, glaring at him. Also, what do you want to do now? It's almost dinner time, you can't have any dirty thoughts. He frowned in disbelief. My wife, why do you call it dirty thoughts? She didn't bother to argue with him, turned around to leave, but was pulled back by him. He frowned, staring at her buttons, as if looking at a difficult data analysis table. After a long while, touched his chin and said, clothes are so small, how can you get in? Get in? Where did he find such a unique word? He shook his head. The design of the clothes is unreasonable, it looks beautiful but is useless, getting in must be very tiring. You really have no sense of aesthetics. Dare to look down on her taste, she disagreed. You are stupid, whoever comes in, just unbutton it. Ah. Someone frowned disdainfully, clearly showing disbelief and displeasure, and went out. Let's go eat. She just wanted to kick him to death, shouting, these buttons are easy to unbutton. Look. He turned his head and saw her unbuttoning the buttons. The skin underneath was unusually white and alluring. I see. He immediately hugged her. Ah. They had been married for 3 months but she still showed no signs of pregnancy. Although 3 months was too short, it was normal not to have any, but she felt a little uneasy, unable to suppress the fear that something was wrong. He soon realized something was wrong. Normally she was very serious, but when the day of ovulation came, she was like a cat in heat, clinging to him as soon as she saw him. It wasn't that he didn't like her to take the initiative, but he was worried that she had something in her heart that she was hiding from him. So before going out, he took the trouble to tell the housekeeper to keep an eye on her. Sure enough, not even a few days later, he discovered that the pregnancy test had been thrown away. He watched as a line on the test gradually faded, and immediately regretted remembering the words he had said to her when they were intimate in the car after the engagement. He was afraid that it had put pressure on her. He was afraid that at that time, she had not agreed verbally, but in fact, she had already agreed, considering this as a promise to him. He just wanted to beat himself to death. He slowly and quietly walked into the bedroom, only the table lamp was on inside. She was curled up on the bed, her eyes wide open and blank, silent and without a sound, not knowing what she was thinking, her expression very disappointed. His heart was numb, but a second after seeing him, she smiled, sat up, hugged the blanket and looked at him. "Harrison, you're back?" "Yeah." He wasn't happy at all, his expression was quite ugly. He threw his coat, loosened his tie and collapsed on the bed, buried his head in her chest, not saying a word. She was stunned. To tell the truth, after being married for so long, no, since she knew him, she had never seen him so listless and depressed. She nervously touched his head and gently asked, "What's wrong?" He still didn't raise his head, his voice was sad, a bit tired and unsatisfied. "There are many annoying things at work, I feel so tired." She felt a pang in her heart, hugged his head, lowered her head close to him, and asked, "Do you want to find a way to relax?" He put all his weight on her, and sighed dejectedly, "I want to go far away to relieve my boredom, just the two of us. I don't want to see those bastards who can't do this job anymore." She saw that he was sad, and coaxed him, "It's just the time for school break, let's go somewhere to relax, okay?" "Okay." He lay in her arms, relaxed and closed his eyes, secretly laughing. Silly girl, she was fooled. He wanted to take her out, but suddenly mentioning it would definitely make her suspect that he had discovered something, so it was better to let her say it herself. The place he chose was Venice. He remembered that when she was in Macau, she had said she wanted to join the Venice Carnival tour on the small island, but at that time she slept in every day and missed it. And right now, Venice was having a masquerade carnival. After getting married, she was much more relaxed, like a child who quickly forgot her illness, sitting on a small boat drifting along the Venice River, watching the parade teams wearing all kinds of masks on the water, holding his hand and smiling happily. She chose a silver feather mask to put on, saying that she was kind-hearted, then put on another black one for him, saying that he was a devil in human form. He grabbed her by the neck and pulled her closer to him. Who would say that about their husband? She shrank her head and neck, giggling without explaining. The sunlight fell on her silver mask, making it sparkle. Her eyes filled with laughter were also strangely dazzling, her cheeks peeking out from under the mask seemed to radiate a special charm. He looked at her for a long time, smiled, pulled her close to his mouth, and said softly, "You're still the best, being with me when I'm not happy. I've forgotten why we came here to relax." His coquettish tone was so deadly seductive. She blushed and smiled secretly. This was a unique feeling for her, it was truly too perfect. "As long as you like it, wherever you want to go in the future, I will go with you. Let's go on a trip every 3 months in the future." He took the opportunity to interject. "Okay." She laughed and agreed, only after getting on the boat did she realize that something seemed amiss. He was still talking to himself. "Then next month and the month after that, we will go to Vienna." She frowned, thought for a moment, and asked softly, "What if we have a child?" He finally waited for her to say this, and said very naturally, "It probably won't be that fast. I heard people say it might take 2 or 3 years, and we're still young, we don't need to have a child so soon." She was stunned and said, "But didn't you say?" "I've thought about it seriously," he said, "your career has just begun. And my family is about to start the Max Power project, so there will be a lot of things to do in the near future. The two of us are still afraid of not having enough time together, and I also don't hope that some other kids will steal my time with you." She couldn't help but laugh, pouting, who would be jealous of a child? "You're so childish." Although she said that, her heart was as sweet as honey. He had achieved his goal, hugging her tighter, rubbing her neck lightly. "After going through so many hardships, we can finally be together peacefully. Of course I want to live in a world with just the two of us for a few more years. Just the two of us. Don't let others come and disturb you, even children." "Wait." She only knew that he was cold and domineering on the outside, but who would have thought that his jealousy and desire to possess were so strong? This discovery made her both excited and happy. How could she want to have children so soon? After returning home, he instructed all the people involved in his family, from his grandfather to the family doctor, several times. If she asked anything, they must answer that people had to get married 2 or 3 years before having children, and some even later. After returning from Venice, he took her to the military district in Guangzhou to visit a friend. That friend was extremely happy. They drove together to Dalian to meet up with a few other friends. When the car turned into a neighborhood, she suddenly saw Lily through the car window. After William died, she forgave her. There was no need to kill this mother and daughter who had no money, no power, no looks. At first, she didn't recognize her right away. She didn't expect the scar on Lily's face to be so deep and obvious. Lily stood by the roadside, seemingly waiting for someone. Although she was dressed beautifully and made up, it couldn't hide her tired and thin face. Serafina recalled the day she returned home, hearing her aunt calling, apparently sending someone to look for Megan and Lily. Perhaps the disasters she had experienced as a child were about to fall on her. She didn't know how long this street job of hers could last. Lily saw the car stop at the red light, and was about to leave, but after seeing Serafina's cold face by the car window, she was stunned for a moment, her face pale. Strangely, other than fear, there was no emotion similar to anger on her face. At that moment, the green light turned on, the car sped away. Serafina took a deep breath, turned her head to lean on her husband's chest, and threw this matter behind her. A group of young people gathered together to chat about playing games. Seeing her coming, everyone called each other, everyone said, "Harrison brought his wife, come here quickly." As a result, after a while, more and more people came. Everyone congratulated and praised her very moderately, not teasing or joking but not too distant, so she felt very comfortable. What was more surprising was that Emily also came, and even linked arms with Logan. The two of them just sat down and then madly hugged and kissed sweetly. It was really embarrassing. Someone burst out laughing, "Shameless for both of you." Emily quickly jumped towards her idol, her eyes sparkling with joy as she reported. "Sister Serafina, my brother has stopped being a gangster, now he is only focusing on handling the affairs of Clover Company and Martin Corporation. I have been very good recently, seriously filming, and even officially dating Logan. Actually, he and I are childhood sweethearts, we just live in different places." Just now Serafina was still thinking about what her adoring gaze was about. Now she almost choked on her water. Growing up in 2 different places is also called childhood sweethearts? Emily held Serafina's hand tightly, chattering non-stop. "This time it's for real, Logan and I are about to get engaged. I originally wanted to ask you to be a bridesmaid, but you got married first, so I had to ask Hannah." Only now did Serafina become interested, and asked immediately, "What is Hannah doing these days? Why do you pay attention to Hannah but not me? You're so biased." Emily pouted, but still didn't take it to heart. "She's learning the violin with that guy with a stiff face, it's weird. But she's changed a lot, she's not as hateful as before. We used to hate each other, but now we're good friends." Serafina breathed a sigh of relief. With David leading the way, she believed that Hannah wouldn't go astray. She smiled. "When you get married, you must send me an invitation." "Of course," Emily said happily. "That's right, the movie Butterfly that you wrote the script for was shown the other day. I went to see it, it was so good, it moved me to tears." Only now did Serafina remember that Tom had sent her a message, saying that the movie was shown the other day, but she couldn't watch it while she was abroad, so she completely forgot about this happy event. She had long since let go of the past, so she actually didn't look forward to this movie much, nor did she intend to watch it, but her husband sitting next to her heard it. The first night back to Beijing, Harrison couldn't help but go out under the pretext of working overtime, renting an entire room at the Astor family's cinema, watching the images flash across the big screen alone, smiling and speechless. He knew that this story was hers, and right now, her nightmare was completely laid out before him without missing a single detail. Although he had returned not too late, she must have been tired from the journey and had gone to bed early. She was still curled up on her right side, her face peaceful when sleeping, and there was a faint smile of satisfaction on her lips. He had showered and gotten into bed, hugging her from behind, pressing his head against her neck, sticking close to her in the same position. She felt the familiar embrace, her small hand loosely clinging to his. Half asleep and half awake, she softly called out Harrison and then smiled and continued to sleep. He knew that she was having a sweet dream, and also knew that her peaceful and serene smile after marriage was very real. He kissed her smooth, jade-like neck repeatedly before closing his eyes to sleep, feeling both heartbroken and happy. Fortunately, she didn't have any more nightmares. Not long after, Emma gave birth. Serafina and Harrison came to the Astor house to visit her. Serafina was very interested in children, the three of them including her. Louis Astor and Bonnie Astor put their heads together and leaned against the crib to tease Leon Astor. Because it was her second time giving birth, Emma had experience, recovered very quickly. When she saw Serafina, she immediately started discussing movies with her, saying that after watching Butterfly, she really had to admire it. Serafina laughed, "That's because the director is good." Emma thought that the script was also very important. The two of them started planning for their next collaboration. When she was about to leave, Serafina went to the living room and saw Harrison sitting on the carpet playing Lego with Louis and Bonnie, his beautiful eyes filled with laughter. Although she knew that he didn't want to have children for the time being, she couldn't help but wonder if he would be so gentle and charming when he looked at his own child. She then secretly went to the hospital to check if there was anything wrong with her. As a result, that night, Harrison came home and saw her frowning, pouting slightly, looking very uncomfortable. He sat closer, turned her face, but she stubbornly lowered her eyes and did not look at him. "What's wrong?" She blinked her eyelashes, her mouth twisted, and asked sadly, "Last time you said you didn't want to have children, was that true? You're not lying to me, are you?" "That's right." He smiled, his eyes filled with pity. He knew she had gone to the hospital today, and now seeing her so listless, he had a rough guess. "It's just a child, there are many ways to cure it. If it still doesn't work, then adopt a child, one in each country, like the United Nations, it would be even more fun." He thought she would be more comfortable, but unexpectedly her mouth twisted even more because of grievance. "But I already have a baby in my belly, what should I do?" He suddenly looked dumbfounded. After a while he almost went crazy with joy and said, "That's great, of course it has to be born. But don't you like children?" If the baby in her belly heard, she would think that he wasn't a good father. He almost went crazy. "Which bastard said I don't like children?" She looked at him resentfully. "You." "Nonsense." That guy was so happy that he didn't care about his dignity anymore, saying, "I like children the most, I like them the most." The news of her pregnancy spread very quickly. Emma introduced all the nutritionists, doctors, and books during her pregnancy to Serafina. And Olivia also moved to the Lancaster house for a while, cooking delicious dishes for Serafina every day. Grandma Beaumont was getting closer and closer to Olivia, and as soon as she came here, she felt unhappy. But anyway, the Lancaster house was spacious. After she complained to old man Lancaster, Grandpa invited her to come with him. Although Theodore didn't sleep here, his mother and grandmother came here to take care of Serafina while she was pregnant, and he often came over to eat. This house suddenly became extremely noisy. Grandpa and Grandma often argued, Theodore and Serafina often argued. Olivia was pulled to her side by everyone, and was immediately stuck in an awkward position. But she clearly liked Harrison the most. As soon as he came home, Grandpa, Grandma, and Theodore all fell into line and didn't dare to argue anymore. Only Serafina dared to use her position as a superior to order him around. Olivia saw her daughter so happy, and was also very happy in her heart. However, her mother was a little embarrassed. This son-in-law really liked her daughter, always holding her hand. Wherever he went, he held her hand, stubborn like a little wolf, and had to take little hedgehog Serafina with him no matter what. But this is nothing, the important thing is that his hand is always touching her daughter's back. She is very worried. Like this, by evening he will definitely not know how to control himself. What if he disturbs the baby in Serafina's belly? So, Mother pulled Serafina aside, hesitantly expressing her worries. Serafina was flustered, discussing with her mother that it was okay to be intimate during pregnancy, as long as it wasn't too much. Serafina also changed the subject. I went for a checkup today, the doctor said it was a boy. At night, she snuggled into Harrison's arms, smiling and talking about her mother's worries. He was stunned, but couldn't help but laugh. She leaned against his chest, her cheeks flushed, her voice chattering. Actually, I originally wanted to give birth to a daughter. Why? He looked down at her, full of longing. Wouldn't it be better for me and our son to protect you? She shook her head. I want to have a daughter first, then a son, like Theodore and I. He raised his eyebrows, stroked the sweaty tangled hair on her temple, and smiled again. It's still better for the boy to come first and the girl later. Let the older brother protect the younger sister. She was stunned, blinked in shock, and immediately understood his love. She closed her eyes, happily and softly said let the older brother protect the younger sister. Her heart was filled with sweetness and emotion. She whispered to herself, so good, being with you is getting better and better. 5 months later, their first baby, Otis Lancaster, was born, and 2 years later, they welcomed a baby girl, Amanda Lancaster. From the moment he was born, Otis was exactly like his father, except for when he was born. He cried loudly, and now he is 2 years old and has not cried a single time. His facial expression was always calm and indifferent, and the older he got, the more he resembled his father, as if he was cast from the same mold. Looking at Harrison's childhood photos, he truly resembled his father. He looked like him in person, and his temperament was even more similar. Amanda, on the other hand, expressed the truth of niece looks like uncle, looking exactly like Theodore, but because he and Serafina looked alike, she could be considered to look like her mother. It was still the same saying, she looked like Theodore in person, and her temperament was even more similar. Amanda lay with her legs spread in the crib, her silly appearance of biting her toenails was just like Theodore's. Moreover, she liked him very much, and smiled as soon as she saw him. Serafina was dissatisfied, scolding him countless times, don't make my daughter as stupid as you. When it came to solid food, no one can fed her, even her mother. Amanda would whine and shake her head to avoid the spoon. When her father fed her, she obediently ate a big bite. Serafina gritted her teeth in anger, her daughter really looked like her younger brother. However, looking at her husband holding a small spoon and bowl to feed their daughter was really warm and loving. Otis loved to read books and think like his father, and liked to play games that required intelligence such as solving Sudoku, removing rings, and jigsaw puzzles. As for the silly little Amanda, she was neither like her father nor her mother. Her daily joy was crawling on her parents. Many times, Otis was sitting cross-legged on the ground, seriously thinking about solving Sudoku or building Legos, when the small, limp Amanda would rub her short hands or small feet against her brother, messing up his hair like a crow's nest. Louis from the Astor family loved Amanda very much. Every time he came to their house to play, he had to hug and play with her. Whenever she crawled to Otis and was about to grab her brother, Louis would run over and pick her up, and put her on the other end of the carpet. She didn't cry, her black eyes stared at Louis for a while, then continued to crawl back to her brother. Louis sat next to her and watched, and when he saw that she was about to catch her brother, he would come over and pick her up and take her back. They played around and around until noon. Harrison was loved by the children, both their children loved their father. The first thing he would do when he got home would definitely be to see his 3 darlings. Otis would greet him, calmly hugging his father's legs, while Amanda would use both her hands and feet to climb up on his body, only halfway up before her father lifted her up and hugged her. No matter how busy he was, he had to play with the children for an hour with Serafina, then put them to bed. Seeing him bow his head to kiss the 2 sleeping babies with their noses full of bubbles, Serafina suddenly realized that he at this moment, standing in front of the children, was no longer the cold and sharp young man, but a warm and passionate father. She guessed that perhaps because he had lost his parents at a young age, he now cherished every moment with her and the children, cherished every year that was silently and tirelessly passing by. The family of 4 went out for a walk every few days. The first year, Harrison carried Amanda, Serafina led Otis. The second year, Otis walked next to Harrison, his short legs running like the wind, while Serafina led Amanda. In the third year, Otis led Amanda in front, Harrison held Serafina's hand and walked behind, the family had passed through flowers and leaves, the 4 seasons changed, time flowed like that. In the fall, when Otis was 5.5 years old and entered elementary school, the whole family went out for a walk after dinner as usual. Amanda went to kindergarten, still led by her brother, asking in a childish voice, "Brother, is elementary school fun? Are there as many slides and jumping pads as kindergarten?" Otis acted like an adult, "No, but elementary school has a lot of teachers and friends, and there are also a lot of books." Amanda's tiny eyebrows furrowed, shaking her head in confusion. "Brother, what are you talking about?" Otis was silent, not knowing what to say. Amanda said again, "Brother, don't go to elementary school anymore, wait for me and we'll go to school together." Otis raised his eyebrows, his actions were full of expression just like his father's. "Why?" Amanda glanced behind her and saw her father hugging her mother and whispering something. Of course, she didn't know that her bad father was trying to coax her mother into having another child. Amanda turned her head, looked up, and said sweetly, "Lala stole my eraser, so I hit her. That crybaby told the teacher, so I got scolded by my mother. If you were there, Lala wouldn't have stolen my eraser." Otis blinked his black eyes. "Okay, I'll take you to school from now on." Amanda clapped her hands happily, but a second later, he shook his head seriously, "But hitting your friend is wrong. Your friend isn't a rubber ball. Besides, not all friends are like me. You can't hit your friend." Amanda smiled ingratiatingly. "I know, I won't hit my friend anymore." When they passed by the ice cream shop, the two kids who weren't afraid of the cold both wanted to eat ice cream. Standing in front of the counter, Serafina saw Otis raise his head, his black eyes staring at Harrison intently, saying, "Dad, there is a girl in my class who likes me, but what if I don't like her?" Serafina held back her laughter, listening to her husband's reply. "If you like someone, you have to say it, if you don't like someone, you have to say it even more." Her husband's voice was clearly soft and calm. "If you don't like someone, don't be nice to them, you can only be nice to the person you like." She was shocked. That's right, so after all these years, he still hadn't even glanced at another girl, so how good was it that he was loyal to her his whole life like this? If you don't like someone, don't be nice to them, otherwise it will only make them misunderstand, make them fall deeper. You can only be nice to the person you like, because being nice to the person you don't like will hurt the person you like. But, would her son understand such a profound saying? She was about to explain to her son, but unexpectedly her son nodded seriously. "Dad, I know. This father and son really have a connection." Amanda held the ice cream, glanced at the balloon cart passing by the ice cream shop. The bright colors immediately attracted the child's eyes. And immediately pulled Serafina out. Serafina bought 2 balloons for her and tied them around her wrists, but the child was still not satisfied, stomping her feet. "My brother wants them too, my brother wants them too." She smiled. "Of course I know, silly girl." Serafina held the 2 balloons, turned around and saw Harrison leading Otis out of the ice cream shop. When he opened the door, the cold wind blew, causing the scarf to flutter. Otis held the ice cream and spoon in his hand, awkwardly turning and twisting it, almost causing the scarf to flip behind his back. Harrison seemed to want to say something. Otis stopped, and looked up at his father. Harrison did not squat down but bent down, bowing his head to fix the small scarf on his son's neck. The light gray men's windbreaker and the black and white scarf fluttered in the cold wind of late autumn, but it was the most beautiful color. Serafina held her daughter's hand, looked at him and her son. Remembered the whispers he had just said in her ear, her heart suddenly stirred. She saw him stand up straight again, stroke his son's hair, and continue walking. The moment he raised his head, he naturally smiled at her. The happiness did not need to be expressed. She curved her lips into a smile, her world was complete.